The Masai Mara National Reserve is an area of preserved savanna wilderness in southwestern Kenya along the Tanzanian border. Its animals include lions, cheetahs, elephants, zebra, and hippos. Wildebeest traverse its plains during their annual migration. The landscape has grassy plains and rolling hills and is crossed by the Mara and Talek rivers. Nowhere in the world is there a movement of animals as immense as the wildebeest migration. Over 2 million animals migrate from the Serengeti National Park to the greener pastures of the Masai Mara in Kenya. Wildebeest arrive at the Mara River and gather, hesitating to cross. Eventually, they'll choose a crossing point, something that can vary from year to year. Usually, the chosen point will be a fairly placid stretch of water, although occasionally they will choose seemingly suicidal places and drown in the hundreds. It's well known that crocodiles attack the wildebeest and zebra and other animals crossing the river, but a hippo can create the same devastation as that of a crocodile. The hippo is among the most dangerous animals in the world and is highly aggressive and unpredictable. Despite their grass-heavy diets, hippos also attack and kill and eat many animals and people too. This topi, a member of the antelope family, is on guard duty. After a month in Africa, we finally saw a leopard, the only one of the big five that we hadn't seen. Leopards are difficult to spot because they are generally solitary. They prefer to hang out in dense bush or up in trees, and they're mostly nocturnal. This makes the chances of spotting leopards very low. Our driver knew that this particular leopard liked to hang out in that tree. He also knew that she has some cubs nearby. She strolled along the ground for a while and then headed over into a gully where he said that she had the babies hidden. The Mara River is about 250 miles long, originating in the highlands of Kenya and draining into Lake Victoria in Tanzania. The river is a vital source of water for grazing animals. It appears quite shallow during the dry season, but it may swell up to twice its normal size after heavy rains. And this river crossing is often flooded due to those heavy rains. So this bridge, which is the only main crossing of the Mara River inside the reserve, was built. We were there in the dry season, so they had us take the lower crossing. I think this is a large herd of topi. If they're not topi, they're some other variety of antelope. We found this female cheetah and her 3 cubs resting in the shade. After about a 3-month pregnancy, the female cheetah has a litter of usually 3 to 5 cubs, sometimes up to as many as 8. They're weaned at the age of about 6 months. Then the siblings become independent from their mother, but they usually stay together for some time. The cubs may stay with the mother for 13 to 20 months, associating with one another and feeding on kills together. Cheetah mothers, especially with young cubs, are highly vigilant, need to remain on the lookout for all kinds of dangers. Meanwhile, the 3 cubs are busy playing. From the time they're about 5 months old, they play, but it's actually learning. They wrestle and roughhouse with their brothers and sisters, but they're practicing skills they will soon need to hunt and kill dinner. They practice sneaking around, chasing, and tackling each other. And while the cubs are playing, Mother is still looking for any potential dangers. These lions could be a danger, but I think they're just enjoying the shade on a warm day. Here's a mother, and if you look carefully, her baby is behind her. She decides to cross the road, not the least bit concerned about our vehicle, and here they are on the other side of the road. We spotted this herd of wildebeest on our way back to the lodge up here on the edge of the cliff, and we'll be going out again later. Well, it's about 5 hours later, late in the afternoon, and we're headed out for our last game drive into a different area. This was north of the lodge, just past the airstrip, and as we went into this area along the Mara River, we saw quite a variety of animals. And then we found this carcass with a vulture feeding on it. And look here, as we came around the side, it's definitely a giraffe. You can see its back and legs.
Lions to get a giraffe, wouldn't it, Julius? It'd be tough for the lions to get a giraffe.
Well, yes.
Here's a couple lions just keeping an eye on what's going on. Okay, we've got elephants right here. And a little one, and a couple a little older. They're all youngsters. This is a large herd of female impalas. The next morning we were treated to this wonderful breakfast. It was quite a surprise. We started off with champagne, and then the chefs had set up a full kitchen out here along the edge of the Mara River. Quite nice to relax and say our farewells to our wonderful traveling companions. The rest of the group rode back to Nairobi, but we had to fly to catch our flight. Obviously a very small airport. We were the only passengers on this leg of the trip. Here's my seat. I could take any seat I wanted, and here's Stu with the seat that he chose. Here's the Mara Serena Lodge from the air, and here's a view of the Mara River. At this airstrip, we picked up 3 people. Notice this is the terminal. We dropped 2 of them off just a few minutes later, and the 3rd passenger continued with us all the way to Nairobi. Here's a series of photos we took out the window of our small airplane as we flew to Nairobi.
This is all complimentary here. It's all paid for. You don't have to pay anything.
From this small airport in Nairobi, we transferred to the large international airport and made a stop in Addis Ababa for a few hours, but luckily we were upgraded to Frankfurt, and then we continued on home to San Francisco.